Thank you very much. Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the occasion is about to begin in earnest. Please, may we be comfortably seated. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers of this historic event, this epoch-making event, I'd like to welcome us all to the 2023 Benue Gubernatorial Debate. On behalf of SAVDFUTUR Nigeria and its partners, talking about Mede's Foundation based in the United States of America, and Jarius Trust Foundation here in Nigeria, we'd like to welcome you all to this 2023 Guber debate. Now, a couple of months ago, this idea was set in motion. We know that we have 18 candidates, 18 Guber candidates in Benue State, right? But we looked at the idea of having all the candidates, and it seemed like an impossible task, except it is split into days. And then the idea of the voting, like it had been done in many other debates in the past, came forth. And the voting platform was created and put forth to the public to vote and choose the candidate that they would like to see on stage, go toe-to-toe in presenting their manifestos, their vision, their programs of action for the development of Benue State if elected. And 6 candidates emerged. Originally, 4 candidates were earmarked, but then, due to popular demand, due to some cry from stakeholders here and there, 2 candidates were added on board, the 4 candidates that emerged from the platform out of 16 or 18 candidates, 18 Guber candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 candidates were put forth as candidates who will be at this 2023 Guber debate. But right here, ladies and gentlemen, right now, we have, to the best of my knowledge, I think 3 candidates, right? We have 3 candidates here. The date was supposed to be this day last week. But some of the candidates from the most popular political parties compelled the organizers that the date be shifted forward because of their tight schedules. And due to the pressure that came forth, and of course because they are popular candidates, the organizers shifted the date to today. But unfortunately, they are not yet here. We hope that they come in the next 5 or 10 minutes, because once it's 15 minutes to 4, the door will be shut. And if any other candidate comes in here, with all due respect, they won't be allowed to be part of the debate again. But ladies and gentlemen, we're here now. And I told some people out there that no publicity is bad publicity. Every publicity is good publicity. No matter how small the platform seemingly is. We have people going to talk to very little groups during this electionary period. And that's because they know the value of a one-man and one-vote action. Ladies and gentlemen, we have millions of Benue people in Nigeria and in the diaspora who have shown interest. Some have supported in diverse ways this debate, and there are ways for you, the candidates here now, to showcase your vision plan, your mission plan, your program of action for the development of our dear state if elected. I welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2023 Benue Gubernatorial Debate. Now, for clarity's sake, we initially earmarked and put out on all the publicity materials 6 candidates. The following candidates of the AA party, DABU Matthew Asemaina, who has been here, the first to arrive, if I'm correct, and has been here still. We also have from the ADC, Engineer Tilley-Gyado TERHEMEN. He is also here, he came very early as well. And then we also had on the list Reverend Father Hyacinth Iormem Alia of the APC, and then Hema Yowasi of the Labour Party, and then Titus Uba of the PDP, and Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR of the STP. But here tonight, here today, we have three of them, and are here ready to showcase to the Benue people exactly what they have in store for the Benue people if they are elected on March 11 to carry the mantle of our dear state and lead the state to the promised land. So ladies and gentlemen, I welcome each and every one of you. Please put your hands together for yourselves. Even though one of our grand rules would be no clapping later, but for now, I'd like to welcome each and every one of us. The candidates were informed to bring a limited number of their supporters, which I can see because we wanted a crowd we can control. And that's why the hall as well, the church of the hall, was a 2T hall, which is compact and not so big. And that's why you see the spaces there, because we have the media here as well, which is my constituency, and I see a lot of my big brothers and sisters. We welcome you, we recognize you very specially. We welcome the supporters of the various candidates and political parties who are here as well on behalf of SAVDFUTUR and partners. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be as swift as possible. We are live right now on NOSTV on YouTube. The links are being shared across various platforms as we speak. So if you're watching, streaming online, we also thank you and appreciate you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, we'll go straight to the opening prayer. And permit me to call anybody who's led by the Spirit. Anyone Spirit-led here, just indicate. We'll bring the microphone to you. We have our Chief, our Royal Father. Thank you very much.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for our country, Nigeria. We thank you for our state, Benue State. We thank you for everybody who is here present. We thank you for our lives. Lord, we are here gathered. May your name be praised forever in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, we call upon you to come and be with us at this ceremony. Come and be with us. Come and be with everybody that is going to come. Lord, even when they are going back, be with them in the mighty name of Jesus. We commit our country to your holy hand. We don't want violence. We don't want problem. We don't want trouble. Lord, let it be so in the mighty name of Jesus. We put Benue State under your care. Lord, good leader that will make sure that everything is okay for everybody. Select such a good leader for us in the mighty name of Jesus. Leader that will remember the masses, that we know that things are supposed to be done aright. Lord, let that be our portion in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, we put all today's program to your holy hand. Continue to be with us. In Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for Jesus, ladies and gentlemen. With the presence of the Most High God in our midst, ladies and gentlemen, we are set to begin now. Without further ado, permit me to bring forth someone who is young, vibrant, someone who has been at the forefront of championing the cause for the organization of this debate we are gathered for here today. Now, if you have been following the debate, you will see that it has been done in a very, very professional way. The publicity, the billboards, the banners, the jingles on radio, the interviews here and there. One man has been at the center of all this, and he has been doing so with due diligence, with passion, with determination, with the love for our dear Benue State driving him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to bring forth for his welcome address the coordinator of the 2023 Benue State Gubernatorial Debate. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Titus Uba. Let's put our hands together for him.
Good afternoon, everybody. I I will stand on the existing protocols. My name is Titus Uba. I first of all want to thank everyone who is here. I want to thank the candidates, the pressmen, the supporters, and every other person that we have here. It has been a very, very tedious event to put together, but we're glad that this day has come and we're here to tell the people of Benue State, especially the candidates, tell the people of Benue State what they have for them. This event is targeted at discussing ideas. You know, I don't want any of us to see this event as a banter, not to see this event as a platform to insult or to settle scores. This event is just to discuss ideas on the way forward to move Benue State. Because it is important that these events hold. Because if they don't hold, then we gradually think that democracy is about having selected people decide who governs or who rules. Whereas democracy is a system that gives the masses the power to pick or to select whoever they want. And this is why we have decided to, bring this platform free of charge. None of the candidates, none of them has contributed a dime to this event. And we didn't ask them for a dime, we intentionally refused money from them. We made sure that this event held without their funding, so that they cannot have control over what is done, the rules and all of that. That is why we are saying that by the time we have given them, by the time it comes to that, we are shutting these doors. That is why I stand here on the existing protocols to thank the candidates that have made it possible, to have us seated here, because if none of them came, we wouldn't hold this debate. So I especially want to thank all the candidates available and the supporters that are here and pressmen. I want to thank every other person that is here to make sure or to witness this event. I know His Royal Highness is also here. Thank you so much for staying behind to witness this event. Thank you so much. I want to also mention that for so many reasons, a lot of our people have believed that somebody must point to them that this is the person to follow. I believe that every individual should use their initiative, should use their reasoning to be able to come at a conclusion of which candidate should I vote for, who has the ideas, who has the best plan for the state or for the nation. These are the ways that we can deepen democracy in the state. These are the means and the ways that we can encourage people to come out and celebrate the democracy that we are enjoying. Because I believe that without democracy, there is no other option. Is it military rule that we want? No. Democracy can be good, but because some persons are doing it the way it fits them, we have to do this event. We have to hold these conversations so that people can understand, people will know that democracy gives the people power, not some selected individuals. So I want to thank every single one of you seated here, every other person watching online, every other person who will get to watch this later on. I want to sincerely thank you, and I want to encourage all of us knowing that this is a step. Because if we continue these conversations, by the next election, they will know that we are here to stay, we mean business. This state belongs to all of us. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how young you are. This state belongs to all of us. Your opinion is important. Your decision is important. You are a stakeholder as long as the leadership of Benue State is concerned. So thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together one more time for Mr. Titus Uba, the coordinator of the 2023 Benue State Guber Debate. Ladies and gentlemen, we forgot one very vital item. That's only totally. We'll take the national anthem, please, before we proceed. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to oblige you, ladies and gentlemen, to please rise for the national anthem. Thank you. After the count of three, we'll sing it. 1, 2, 3.
love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the candidates are going to be standing. And I've just been reminded that one other candidate is here who was not on the original six candidates list. And the person will be obliged to join the debate. Suffice to say that most of the other candidates who did not make the cut called in to be part of this debate, but they were declined. But this candidate came forth that even if I'm not going to be part of the debate, I will come to witness the debate. I'm talking about the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA in Benue State, Honorable Joseph Waya. Let's put our hands together for him. He's here with us. He's going to be part of this debate. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to take the ground rules first. I'm supposed to introduce the candidates before taking the ground rules, but because they will be standing, I'll take the ground rules before introducing the candidates. All right. Now, for the ground rules, the guidelines, this debate is only for governorship candidates. No deputies or representatives will be featured. Each candidate must present a manifesto within 5 minutes. This will be done alphabetically according to parties' abbreviations or acronyms. In this case, AA, ADC, APGA, and then SDP. Ladies and gentlemen, after the manifestos, each candidate is allowed to ask the other four candidates a maximum of 2 questions each in a minute. And these questions are to be answered in 2 minutes or less. The press is allowed to ask a maximum of 2 questions to each candidate. These questions must be answered in 2 minutes or less. WhatsApp messages have been collated as we speak right now, and they will be presented to the candidates in alphabetical order. No insults or offensive words will be tolerated. Anyone who violates this will be ejected. I'd like to add to that no clapping, no booing, no whistling, no cheering of the candidates. We are obliged to just listen. Questions must be directed to the candidates, not generalized. Each candidate will be allowed to present a 1-minute closing remarks. Why should I be voted? Your WhatsApp number will be called out, has been put out before the debate, and the questions have been collated already. One more time, distinguished candidates, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the 2023 Benue State Guber debate. The debate is about to start. Now, in alphabetical order, permit me to introduce to the podium the candidates who will be presenting their programs of action for the development of Benue State if elected at this 2023 Guber debate. Ladies and gentlemen, from the AA party, we have DABU Matthew Asimayina. Please let's welcome him as he steps to the podium. Thank you very much. This is the time, the only time we are allowed to put our hands together for them. The candidates, ladies and gentlemen, of the Action Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, in alphabetical order, number 2 for this debate, we present to you the candidate of the ADC, and that's the African Democratic Congress. Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado, Engineer TTG. From the All Progressives Crown Alliance, APGA, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Honorable Joseph Waya. Let's put our hands together for him. And finally, for the 2023 Benue State Gubernatorial Debate, we have from the Social Democratic Party, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind us of our ground rules. We are not to boo any candidate. We're not to cheer or to clap or even whistle, no matter how lofty the points the candidate might have put forward is. We welcome the candidates to the 2023 Benue Guber debate. Now, the guidelines have been set already. We are going to begin straight away with the manifestos for each candidate. Without further ado, we begin with the candidate of the Action Alliance, AA. Ladies and gentlemen, to present his manifesto and program of action for the development of Benue State, if elected, Honorable DABU Matthew Asimayina. Your time starts now. We have a timekeeper, by the way.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone seated here. I want to say good evening or good afternoon to our traditional ruler chief. We are honored to have you here. I want to say thank you to the organizers of this event. I've been looking forward to meeting with these my great brothers, these wonderful sons of Benue State. And the organizers of this program have made it possible for me to meet.
Sorry, let me obstruct you. The candidates will ask you questions after 2 questions each.
No problem.
At the end of your presentation.
No
5 minutes.
No problem.
We'll factor this into your time.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
One of the first things I have in mind if I'm elected the governor of Benue State is to introduce some certain things that we do know that are very important, but we don't look at them. One of it are called the brain box of Benue State. The brain box will be drawn from the people that I call nation builders. Who is a nation builder? The primary school teacher, the secondary school teacher, the university lecturer, and also the people within the ministries, various ministries and parastatals, and even the general community. We will look for good people. These people are meant to advise the governor when he is doing wrong or when a thing is supposed to be done and it is not done. 3 points I have. 1, agriculture. Benue State is the food basket of Nigeria. And if you go by anything, if you go around Nigeria, you discover that our mango is the best in West Africa. Our soya bean is the best in West Africa. Our oranges are the best in West Africa. Our yams are the best in West Africa. Everything that is called food in Benue State is the best. I have done my research. But why are we not meeting the standard now? Number one, we'll call it insecurities. The farmers' headers crashes. I won't talk about the headers unless I'm asked a question about it. But I will do my best to make sure that agricultural ministry and industries improve so that our farmers will also enjoy the fruit of their labor. That when they come to the market, they sell their properties or their goods or their produce. No more shall it be that people come from other states to price our goods or our food product with legs. You go to the shop, they say, this yam, how much? This orange, how much? This tomato, how much? They are using this thing. There are things we can use to make sure that our food produce are, are stored and preserved, that at any time they can be useful. We will talk about that if I have time. Number two, that I want to do is to upgrade the standard of education in Benue State. Is Benue State educational system going down? No. But there is always another step. There's always another step. I travel worldwide, I see what is done in the educational system. And I know that Benue State also have the best lecturers in Nigeria. I meet with them in America, I meet them in Kenya, I meet them in Australia, I meet with them even in Middle East. And we talk and you discover we have brains that if they impact this knowledge in our children, we will produce the best student in Nigeria. So I am looking forward for that. I'm also looking forward to ensuring that we create job opportunities. How do we do that? Because many people have promised our young men and young women, young graduates, job opportunities, and it did not come to pass. How do we do that in the time of cashless society? If somebody can check for me, I know I have 3 more minutes to go. If you can check for me a gram, not a kilogram, a gram of Californium in the world market today, you will discover that Benue State is one of the state in Nigeria that have this precious stone that is called Californium. And a gram of it is sold at about 38 million. That is a gram, not talking about a kilogram. And people come to us, create problem, they take this thing, they call it precious stones because they don't want you to know. But Action Alliance have made a research and we have discovered that what is being called precious stones in Nigeria is Californium. If 1 gram is sold at what? 37 million, then imagine how much will a trailer of Californium cost. We have all these things. If we use them judiciously, we will be able to build our state, create job opportunity for our youth. And I think by doing that, we will take our youth away from the street. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The candidate of the Action Alliance, Honorable DABU Matthew Asemayina. Now, the candidates will throw their questions to you. I'm amazed that he did all that in less than the 7 minutes allotted to him. But I'd like to inform you one more time that we have a timekeeper, Mr. Inosham, aka China. When he rings the bell once, that's the warning. That means you have 1 minute to go. And when your time is up, he will ring the bell accordingly. Now the candidates will present their questions to you. They will pose their questions to you, 2 each, for you to respond accordingly. Honorable Asemayina of the AA. Let's begin with Engineer Tilley-Gyado.
Thank you. Good afternoon, my brother.
Yes, you sir.
And thank you for your presentation. I think I'm curious about your idea on brain box. So I was wondering whether you've thought through the selection criteria and who actually fits into this brain box.
The brain box. When I'm talking about the brain box, from every ministry, we will draw somebody there. The medical department, we will get a doctor. We will allow them to choose from their union and present one to us. From the market union, Market Women Association, even from the people we call Agboro at the motor park. We will allow them to give us one person that will tell us about the things that we need to do to improve our transportation system in Benue State. Then when you want to talk about farming and agriculture, they have union too, associations. We'll try to get people from each one of them. Will be headed by a professor from the university. Thank you, sir.
Okay, all right, so we'll move to the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance now, with your question, one or two questions for the candidate of the AA.
Yeah, good afternoon, my brother.
Sir.
Wonderful presentation. We share in a lot of things you have talked about. Now, we are all here because we're interested in the development of Benue. And some of the things you have talked about under agriculture, what exactly is the template for turning that sector around based on what you have said?
Thank you so much. For far too long, our people have been suffering doing manual job, work. We call it manual. Of course, that is what I use to go to school to pay my school fees. But if we introduce a mechanized system of agriculture in Benue State, that is number one. Number two, we will try to see how we will be able to bring in fertilizer plant. It will interest you also to know that we have done a research and we discovered that every soil is peculiar to a particular fertilizer. But here they give us anything at all. And because we don't know what we are supposed to use, our farmers are suffering a lot of things. You harvest your yam, tomorrow they are decaying. You spray your rice, tomorrow you see that nothing has come out. So we will do our best to know what is very good for the agriculture, and we'll have people here in Benue State who can be able to do the research and give us the result. Thank you, sir.
All right, the candidate of the SDP now. Question.
I stand on the existing protocol. My able brother.
Thank you, sir.
From your presentation, I see you are very capable of this job. But I want to believe that probably at the end of the election, I might win.
Thank you.
And if I win, which idea of all these are you presented to ensure a positive Benue?
Definitely, if any of us here wins, and even those who are not here, if any of them wins, as for me, if they need my services, I am ready to work with them to ensure that Benue State become a better place. So, if you come in, if I didn't come in, and you are the one of the areas that I would have even spoken about, which I don't want to talk about it, is even the health industry, which I know a lot of people, a lot of organizations. The first time I lost, I was giving hospital bed, computerized one for Benue State. They didn't come, don't ask me why. So I will be able to help you in the area of, personally, I don't need visa to travel any part of the world. It's just to enter the flight and go. I can go to Japan, I can go to Israel and discuss with them on how they will help my brother, who is the governor of Benue State, to improve the level of agriculture in Benue State. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the rules of the organizers. They say we should not clap for anybody. I would have done that for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. When the coordinator of the debate rose to present his welcome remarks, he said this is going to be a romance of ideas, a sharing platform of ideas, where ideas will be, shared, interchanged between the candidates. And if only we do this, I'm sure that many of the problems, the mirage of problems that Benue has, many of them, if these things are actually implemented, there will be solutions. So we now move on to the next candidate to present his manifesto and program.
I thought we had 2 questions.
Okay, I thought you were done with your questions. Okay, fine, go ahead. Okay, we'll take 2 at once going forward now. So you ask your 2 questions just like Honorable Mede did.
Okay, I know that you're very familiar with some of the security challenges we're having with the summer hurdle crisis, because I believe you're from around that axis. And so I'd like to hear what your thoughts are in terms of addressing the situation, because it's something that has created a lot of animosity, brings out a lot of emotion in the Benue people. And so I'd like to hear, as Chief Executive, how you address this.
Thank you very much. I thought the question was going to come from the people sitting around us. Number one, there is anti-open grazing system, isn't it? And that is what is causing the bigger problem between the farmers and the herders. I sat down to think about this, and I also wrote it down. It's one of the things I wrote down. Looking at the bill, has anybody been able to call the farmers and the herders together, at least their leaders, to sit down and interpret to them the meaning of this anti-open grazing law? 2 weeks ago, I was listening to one of the people who are troubling our governor. He said that this same thing was practiced in Zaria. And they were given a land where they settled. He went to school, and that is why he is today a governor. So I don't think that our governor is saying that Fulanis or herders should not be in Benue State. But he's saying, we'll talk about it later. I thought I had 2 minutes. Okay, so if we can sit down with these people together and tell them that this law does not forbid you being in Benue, but it forbids you from going to people's farm and destroying it. You will be given a place. You sit down there, we have a lot of things, grasses that you can cut and give to your animals. Then there will be peace between us and the herders. But I want to believe that this thing has not been properly made or explained or interpreted to these two groups. That should be the problem. Interpreting the law properly will bring peace. Thank you, sir.
You have your 2 questions asked already now. APGA, Honorable Joseph Waya, you have just one. Okay, I believe Honorable Mede as well exhausted this. Okay, now we move to the press now. We'll take 2 questions from the press, and then the questions that have been collated online as well to the candidate of the AA. All right. We have Mr. Uja of the Nation newspaper.
Thank you very much. His Excellency, I wanted to comment on internal revenue generation. Recall that for the past 16 years, they go to Abuja for education. Sometimes you don't even have anything to share. So how are you going to generate or control and even close the gap, the leakages of the revenue to at the state level to complement the federal education? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, sir, if I would say, permit me to just say, I'm not trying to speak against or challenge anybody, but I want to say the problem of the revenue generation in Benue State is that we do not have faithful and honest people to mine it. If we have faithful people who will report to the governor and the government accurately, I want to tell you that Benue State will not be running to Abuja every time. So when you have people who think more of their pocket than the general populace of Benue State, you will have problems. So under my government, if my brother here permits me to be, I think I will introduce a centralized economic system that everyone people that come into Benue Treasury, if you are a taxpayer, you can log in and you will see it. Thank you.
All right, we'll take one more question from the press. And then we'll have the questions collated from members of the public online.
Good afternoon, His Excellency. I work with civil society. Thank you for the aspect of education. I still want to ask, if you are, according to UNICEF, 18.5 million Nigerian young people out of school, and 60% of them are girls. So I really want to know what you do for the education of girls in Benue State, if elected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the things I wrote down for today's discussion is, I just started, I said, if a state governor can create Ministry of Happiness, is it happiness or joy? There was something Ministry of Happiness and it's still existing in somewhere in the East. So in Benue State, we can be able to establish something that I call Ministry for the Disability, for the widows, for the elderly. Girl education also will be looked into accurately and properly if we are elected, because the facilities are there, the funds are voted in, by the Federal Ministry of Education. It is just that the people there do not release the money to our people. So if we have that, if I'm elected in power, I will fight like Adasu and make sure that whatever thing that is meant for Benue State is given to Benue State, thereby ensuring that our girls are also where they are supposed to be, and not just only the girls, even the people living with disability as well.
All right, thank you very much. We have questions from the press. Two. Actually, we thought that's the press person, but it's from the civil society organization. Any other question from the press here present? Okay, fine. So we'll move on to the next candidate. But I'd like to say that we have questions collated online for you already, but we'll move ahead. We'll come back to you later. So, so your lips don't get so dry. Okay, all right. So the second candidate at this debate in alphabetical order is the candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado, Engineer TTG. It is time for you to present your manifesto and program of action for the development of Benue State, if elected, in 5 minutes.
Thank you. I also, like His Excellency here, wants to commend Kato and his team for putting this program together. And I want to appreciate my fellow candidates who have come here. It's a bit sad that we can't have more people here, because I think this is the kind of forum where we get to hear the how. It's easy to stand in a rally and shout, I'll pay pensions, I'll do education, I'll do healthcare. No one is going to ask you how there. But here you get asked the how. So I hope that going forward, more candidates will honor invitations to fora like this. Having said that, my heart bleeds when I think of Benue State, because Benue State is about 5 years older than I am. And I grew up here, left this place, went around Nigeria and around the world, studying and working. And I've come back, and while I've become a fully grown man with a family, Benue State is still stunted, hasn't grown an inch since I left. We had a solid foundation laid by Governor APGA. But since then, nothing really built on top of it. It's almost as though the indigents of Benue State have been living on this German floor that APGA laid, exposed to harsh elements of the weather, economic conditions, wild animals of internal and external insecurity. And we're not moving forward. And so my manifesto, visioning as a civil engineer that I am, is titled Building Our Benue. And the idea is to build Benue into a skyscraper upon this foundation that was properly laid between 79 and 83. And this building will be anchored on 5 key pillars. Pillar 1 is security and safety of our people. Without a safe environment, you don't even have a state. And so we will look at our local security architecture, enhance them through training and equipment, make sure that they're collaborating effectively with federal agencies, and leveraging cutting-edge technology to make sure that our surveillance is top-notch and our rapid response is also top-notch. We will also put in place a fund that addresses victims of insecurity, because we have so many victims. The IDPs, for instance, we must reintegrate them into the society. Second pillar is a pillar of economy. This pillar has 2 levels to it. The first is the general economy. We have a revenue problem. We don't make enough money as a state. Would you believe that Benue State is ranked number 36 out of 36 for IGR per capita? It's unimaginable, considering that we're the food basket of the nation. Whole nations have built their economies on agriculture, and the agriculture hub of Nigeria is ranked 36 out of 36 for IGR. And so we'll look at our revenue, open up the state for public-private partnerships and the like. We'll work with international organizations to get concessionary loans and bilateral grants. We also have a spending problem. We're not spending on the right things. Would you imagine that all the money we received from federal allocation last year, plus our IGR combined, which is only about 80 billion, all of it was spent on recurrent expenditure and servicing of our debt. So Benue closed last year with 0 naira in the pocket. We need to spend on productive things, things that will boost our revenue generation, and that is something that we'll look at critically. We have a debt problem. Borrowing is not bad. However, what are you borrowing the money for? So we need to increase the transparency of our debt utilization. And also, 80% of the $160 million that we owe as a state is domestic loans, high interest double digit loans. We need to move away from that as much as possible. The second part of that pillar is agriculture. My brother has spoken effectively here on it. We're going to invest across the value chain, from the input to production, to processing and storage, to markets and trade. How are we going to achieve this? We'll achieve this by working closely with the private sector. There are many companies that are already doing very well in this. There's Babangona. They've reached already 200,000 farmers. There's Apex Commodities Limited. They're providing storage all across the country. And so we'll work closely with these companies to make sure that we bring that home as well. The third pillar is human capital development. This is where we're looking at the healthcare, education, and skills of our people to make sure that there's enough jobs for them, they're employable, and there's employment for them, and also that they're able to be productive to the society. And so we invest effectively in basic healthcare and education. And we'll look into reviewing our curriculum to make sure that what people are learning is more adaptable to the modern day, vocational training, and so on and so forth. Fourth pillar is governance and institutions. We need to look at our local governments and make sure that they're autonomous. But they cannot be autonomous if there's no competence and accountability. So we need to look at training and retraining. We must look at the civil service. What is the compensation compared to the private sector? These are areas that we'll look at critically to make sure that we build up our governance framework. And the final pillar is rural and urban development. We need to put in place, and we will put in place, critical transportation infrastructure to make sure that Benue becomes more livable and that the economy is boosted through these networks that are open. We need to stem rural-urban migration by creating opportunities in the rural areas, by encouraging smallholder farmers through grants, subsidies, and access to loan facilities. And this we will do by the grace of God if given the opportunity to govern the state come March 11th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado of the African Democratic Congress. Now it's time for the other candidates to put forth 2 questions each to the candidates of the ADC. We begin with the candidate of the Action Alliance.
Thank you very much. I was not going to ask any of my brothers a question because I'm not in a competition with them. I'm also taking things from them, learning from them. And whatever thing they say here, my wish for you is that God should choose one of us and also help us to work together to develop our state. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. So the candidate of APGA.
Yes. Well, the essence of asking questions is just to get clarity for those who might not understand some of the things that we talk about. Revenue generation is one area. Somebody asks a question. It's a deeper problem here. Do you have a template for how you can generate revenue to be able to address some of these things some talked about?
Thank you, sir. Indeed, revenue generation is a critical problem. Last year, I believe we raised just about 12 billion. That's what's on the record. It's abysmal. So there are multiple ways to attack this. The first is we need to make the process more digital so that there's transparency in collection and there's more efficacy in the collection as well. In so doing, the taxpayers will also have more confidence in the utilization of their tax, and I believe that it will make collection easier. The second thing is that we will enhance the framework for ease of doing business in Benue State, because the more the private sector crowds in funds to the state in public-private partnerships, be it BOTs or BOOs, we will work with the private sector, always trying to make sure that the state has a stake in what is going on. We're earning from two places there. One is the personal income tax that is coming. Two is the revenue from the going concern, that is the business. So there, again, internally generated revenue will be boosted. And I believe that with these, and encouraging, very critically, we must encourage small and medium scale enterprises. So our government intends to put in place a fund to encourage small and medium scale enterprises. You can imagine that even in a country like China, SMEs are contributing up to 80% of the employment in that country. That's approximately 600 million jobs that only SMEs are contributing. Even in Nigeria, 98% of the registered businesses are SMEs. And so this is one way that by encouraging SMEs, we will reinvigorate our economy and boost our IGR.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Honorable Mede.
I greet to my elder brother, Engineer Gyado. This happens to be someone I know very well. I trust his capabilities, I trust the capabilities of being a governor. Because at least, I've been to his office where he just left to come and become governor in Benue. I can tell a lot about his exploits, and they're all very positive. I know that if given the opportunity, he will do very well as governor of Benue State. Only I feel I will do better. So suppose I win over you in this context. I'm very sure you won't jump away. You'll be part of my government. And there was this debate we attended last week of all candidates, which was organized by Engr at the Precious Event Center, just opposite here. Our incumbent governor, Tom, cried out that the federal government have shut up doors against him, that he has devised a way of sending messages to Buhari.
Honorable Mede, I think you should ask a question. You'll get to your point when you will present your program of action, please.
Okay, it's a question I'm asking. I'm just going to grab. Now, assuming doors are shut against your brother's government by the federal government, I'm not wishing that. But if it happens, how do you hope to help me overcome that?
My dear brother, you're playing a little mind game. So let's not make any presumptions, and I won't speak hypothetically of you becoming governor over me. However, whichever one of us is elected governor of Benue State, the reality is that the input that you will receive from others, those here and even those that are not here, is equivalent to how open your arms are. So in the event that the federal government shuts the doors against Benue, which is highly unlikely, but let's say it does happen. It has happened in Lagos before, and they survived. It actually, you know what they say is that adversity actually can turn into opportunity. It just depends what lens you're looking at it through. We have enough agricultural potential in Benue State to be self-sufficient. As I mentioned earlier, there are countries that have built their whole economy on agriculture. Look at Rwanda. Rwanda made $500 million approximately from agriculture in 1 year alone. And their land size is only 1/3 of Benue land size. And I dare say that their soil is probably not even as fertile as ours. So if we can get ourselves organized in the agricultural sector, across the value chain, Nigeria's agricultural value chain is worth between 80 to 85 billion dollars. I mean, imagine if Benue has just 10% of that. We won't need any federal allocation. Federal allocation will become like Jara for us. So there can't be any fear against any locked doors from the federal government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the candidate of the ADC. Now we will take questions from the distinguished men of the pen profession, men of the press, men and women of the press, as well as civil society organizations. So we will take 2 from the CSOs and 2 from the press.
Thank you, Engineer. My name is Johnson. I write for the Punch newspaper. You spoke beautifully, and you have a good blueprint. I want to find out all these laudable programs. How do you source for funds to execute them?
Thank you. We'll take one more from the press, and then go to CS. Okay, fine. Beautiful.
Your Excellency, my name is Ifakman. I represent National Device Magazine. Your Excellency, can you share with us in specific terms how you intend to tackle the...
I can't really hear you.
Okay. Share with us in specific terms how you intend to tackle the issues of insecurity.
I'm Solomon Keshimaya. As a technocrat, I was expected to hear things on ICT and IT development in Benue State. As I speak currently, Benue State as a government does not have a website. And then we live in a Gen Z era where we hear things about metaverse. And as a youth and then a young person, what are the plans you have to develop the ICT hub and then digitize Benue State as a whole?
Okay, all right. Can I? Okay, we'll take a female, one more, and then you respond in one breath. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dose Adongo. I want to ask you, please, how are you going to ensure that we have gender equitable systems in Benue State? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so you have 4 questions to respond to Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado of the African Democratic Congress.
You should have warned me that it's going to be rapid release. Okay, thank you. Very, very brilliant questions and issues that I felt ought to be addressed. For want of time, we had to abridge our presentations. So going to the first question on funding. The question asked by my brother, Honorable Joe Waya, already alluded to one of the key sources of the funding, which is IGR. The second critical thing that we want to look at is working closely with overseas agencies to get concessionary loans. These loans are available. They're given to governments that can be trusted. We work also with donor agencies who give bilateral grants. We know that they have a focus on social development issues, healthcare and education, so we can tap into those funds effectively. And of course, we have our federal allocation, which can also go to work for us. But the main thing really is IGR, and that IGR will be built through opening up Benue State for business in terms of PPPs. Am I getting...
Yeah, you respond to them 2 minutes for every question. So that's the first question. We take them all in one take. So you're taking 6 minutes to respond to the other 3. Thank you.
Okay, the second question had to do with insecurity. Insecurity has bedeviled our state for very long now. Benue State, which should be known for its peace and hospitality, is now coming up on the news every now and again talking about another clash between the farmers and the herdsmen. There are really 3 main areas where we're getting this insecurity from. One is the farmer-herder crisis. 2 is local banditry. And then 3 is the conflicts like boundary disputes and what have you. They have to be treated differently. We have to disaggregate them. But the most important thing is that we need to understand that we need to have a local security architecture in place. There's something like that there now. It needs to be enhanced through relevant training and equipment. And the reason for that is, just like they say all politics is local, all security is really local as well. So if we're able to build our local security architecture and marry them with the federal agencies, then what you have is that we plan to set up a security control center where they can work collaboratively, gathering intelligence, sharing strategy, and then with the right equipment and technology deployment, what you have is that we're able to respond rapidly as well. So that before something happens, we already have an idea that is going to happen. Traditional institutions will also be involved here because they'll be given responsibility and recognition. And then finally, one thing that is very important as well is that justice must be seen to be done. You know, it's said that justice should only be done. It must be seen to be done as well. So wherever there's any issue that has been picked up by our security agencies, those who are found wanting must be brought to book in a way that deters other would-be criminals. And so this is one way that we'll tackle insecurity squarely. And the other question was on ICT. ICT, the creative industry, sports, and leisure, these are critical areas that matter a lot to youth. As you can see, I'm not the oldest candidate in the race, and so I have an affinity for the young people. We're missing a lot of opportunity. Some boys who worked in ICT in Lagos, I believe they came up with an application or a software and sold it for $200 million or something. I know the gentleman who owns Flutterwave today, for instance. I think he must be a dollar billionaire by now. We have this talent here in Benue as well. All it needs is encouragement. All it needs is encouragement. And our idea as a government is to inject it right from the basic primary education stage so that the children start getting used to technology. And you can see that the best will come out of them when they grow up. But there are funds also available, and there are private sector players who are interested in this as well, who we will liaise with and gather a critical mass of our best ICT brains, encourage them to put up a display and a proposal that we will back to go to the international community or other parts of Nigeria to attract seed capital to set up an ICT hub here in Benue State. It's not too hard. All we need is one great idea, and you'll find a dollar billionaire in Benue State. And Benue State will be better for it because we'll sure enjoy some tax revenue there. And also, we know that there'll be a lot of social development as well as a result of it. So ICT will not be left behind by any means at all. And the final question that was thrown to me is on gender equality. If I didn't get this question, then I'll say that there are no ladies in the crowd. It's something that always comes up, and it must continue to come up until it is squarely addressed. Women women have a unique value to bring to the table, just like youth as well. But we find that in Benue State, in Nigeria, and in most parts of the world, it's very older male dominated. And so as a government, we're going to ensure that we put in place a quota system. This quota system will be what serves as protection to make sure that competition is somehow evened out and balanced out. We can start with anything from 30 to 35% to 50% of representation of women. But this is not going to be a quota system that is like a token situation. It will be still based on merit, but we're certain that we'll find enough women with enough merit to participate.
Thank you very much.
In the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado of the African Democratic Congress. Now we are going to move forward. We have questions coming from our online platforms for all the candidates, and we're going to put them forth by the time we exhaust all the candidates on the podium. It is time to move up to the next candidate now. From the All Progressives Grand Alliance, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Honorable Joseph Waya. But before he takes center stage, permit me to quickly just recognize the presence of the one who is in charge of all the pressmen here in Benue State. I'm talking about the chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Benue State Council, Mr. Vincent Nyongo. Please let's put our hands together for him. We welcome you. Thanks for the honor. Honorable Joseph Waya is the gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. It is time for you to tell the Benue people about your manifesto and program of action for the development of the state, if elected. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, fellow contestants. Good afternoon, organizers. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here to talk to the people of Benue and beyond about the program that I have in place when I become the governor of Benue. The manifesto that I present to the people of Benue is based on the challenges that we face today as a people. And those challenges are multi-sectoral. And therefore, I will just quickly run through them. 5 minutes is not enough to do justice to it. But I have a published manifesto which I implore the public to have access to it. It is even just an abridged manifesto. This manifesto is entitled Rebuilding Benue State, the Nehemiah Model. Why do I call it the Nehemiah Model? The Nehemiah Model is a biblical reference to rebuilding, like what happened in the scriptures, the walls of Jerusalem. In this manifesto, I am urging the people of Benue to join me in rebuilding the broken down walls of Benue. And these broken down walls could be found first in the area of our security. This manifesto addresses security as a core priority, because without security, we can do nothing. Today, our state is practically under siege, and for the first time in the history of our state and our people, we find ourselves living in IDP camps under conditions that are completely inhuman and unacceptable. And therefore, the first challenge that my administration will deal with is to tackle the issue of insecurity. And I have outlined in this manifesto areas and steps by which we will address this issue. 5 minutes will not do justice to this, so I will go over to the next item. Having addressed the issue of insecurity, And our timeline is that within the first 3 to 6 months we will do that. We will use technology to address part of it, but on the onset, we will first find out the root causes of this incessant carnage. So once that is done, we will look at our economy to ensure that the economic security of the people of this state is guaranteed. And how do we do that? In order for us to develop as a people, we must create a platform by which people can independently generate revenue, not dependent on government. Government can create the enabling environment by which people can sustain their existence. We have 5 to 6 phases under which we are going to ensure economic security for our people. Part of it is expansion of sources of revenue generation. All of this will be done in order to empower our people so that they can independently live a better life. The third area we're looking at, and it's also of high priority, will be education. Highly educated people would know exactly what to do in any given situation. Countries like Japan have developed and are today some of the biggest economies in the world because they put priority on education. Here in Benue, our educational system is almost in tatters. The infrastructure is completely gone. So apart from dealing with the issue of developing a better infrastructure in the educational sector, we will also look at opening up areas within the sector that people can have easy access to education. And in this case, we will look at technical and vocational education, promoting it in such a way that people have the necessary trades when they leave. Even if they finish within 3 years of education, they should have something to do. The second thing we'll be looking at is to retrain even the graduates who are out on the street now. We have a high level of unemployment in the state. And it's because the graduates cannot get jobs. Part of our educational policy will be to retrain them, to make them suitable for jobs that will be made available within the labor market. We will promote sciences, natural, agricultural, health sciences. We will give priority to all of this. Now the next thing which our administration will also look at very critically, which is captured in our manifesto, is the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector, we will give priority to it. We will be a net exporter of food, not just a paper food basket of the nation. We will also look at, because of time constraint, I will just rush through the rest. We will also be looking at entrepreneurial scheme, where a large army of our unemployed will be trained and prepared for better works. The total infrastructure, if we go around Benue, we don't have roads, and we are going to look critically at this, and we have already put in place the steps that we will take to develop our state to the point where we will be a signature for others to reference. So, in a nutshell, this is what the manifesto reads, and these are the things we'll be doing in government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Joseph Waya, gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, in Benue State. It is time now for the other candidates present here to put forth their questions to the candidates of APGA. Before we go down to the press and the members of the civil society organizations here present. All right, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado.
Thank you for a strong manifesto. I know you're a renowned businessman and you've worked all across the country with government also a lot. So what are those things that you see that a government will do to make the environment more attractive for businessmen like you to want to flood in and do business there? Because I know that everywhere that you've done business and made a profit, the state or local government where that has patronized you has also not left empty-handed. So with that experience, I'm sure you have something very relevant for Benue State. And my question is, what can make it more enabling? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first thing to address is the issue of insecurity. For you to attract investors in your state, no investor will want to invest in a place that their investment is not secure. So that's why we prioritize security, and once that issue is addressed, I believe a good number of my partners, a good number of investors will be more than happy to come to Benue and invest. The second thing is the government policy. If a policy of government in warehousing businesses is not friendly, they will run away. Like we had one of the biggest companies that is mass producing rice, an Indian company, Ola. They came first to Benue, but because the policy of government was hostile, they went to Nasarawa State, where they have had huge investment at the expense of what Benue would have been enjoying. So these are the two areas that we will attract investment for businesses to come in. First, the security aspect, and secondly, the policy that will be conducive for investors to come. Thank you.
All right, so we move on to the other candidates now for their questions. I don't know if the candidate of the SDP, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR, has any questions for the candidate of the APGA party.
Yes, I do. My elder brother, Mr. Waya, I trust your ability to do very well. Just like the other two of my brothers who have presented their manifesto before you. I trust you so much that if I've succeeded in the private sector, I know you who are even here. But assuming the people of Benue prefers me over you, are you willing to support me?
Well, my brother, the question has been answered before, but all I can say is that we wish that at the end of the day, if any of us, if it is the will of God that you become the governor, of course we will support you. All that is required is that let God's will be done. That you will have my support, whether in government or outside of government, I will support a brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The candidate of APGA. I don't know if the candidates have any more questions, so that we'll move to the press and then members of the civil society organizations. Okay, let's go to the CSOs.
I remain Solomon Keshimayatiti. There is a critical social sector that is being overlooked in Benue State, which is the corporate social responsibility. What will your government and how will your government do to ensure the institution of these corporate social responsibilities in Benue State to ensure they do things they are meant to do to grow the state and beautify the state as well?
Yeah, that's public-private partnership. I think we'll collect the questions and then you respond in one take.
My name is Nancy. My question is, you spoke about education, but I am more concerned about the Universal Basic Education Act. It states that it guarantees free and compulsory education for children of all school ages, but it can only be seen on paper. So I want to know, what will you do to guarantee this free and compulsory education for children in Benue State?
All right, thank you very much. From the press, okay, all right, the Punch newspaper.
Thank you, my senior. I want to find out, you know, we have moribund industries in Benue State. Burnt bricks, Taraku Mills, the tomato company at Adone, then this yam something in the Castina Islands. What are you going to do? Since you have been saying that you would like to create an enabling environment, especially for our teeming youths to be employed, what are you going to do to revive some of these moribund industries? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Kenneth. I work for National Broadcasting Service. In your document, in your blueprint, you didn't mention, you didn't talk about health. And we all know that the health sector today is one of the things that we've been facing in the States, one of the basic challenges we've been facing in the States, most especially in the rural environment. All of us are local people. And you didn't make mention of that. I want you to just speak a little. If given the opportunity to become the governor of the state, what will be your position in the health sector? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Wonderful questions. Talking about corporate social responsibility. Well, as a journalist, I used to ask direct questions. Now, the corporate social responsibility that you talked about, let me just put it into context. Let's say Benue Cement, where they are operating. How are they living up to their corporate social responsibility? Our government will do the needful to ensure that those who have the opportunity to work in certain communities, offer services, or take out of those communities, they must give back. I will not say more than that, but it is something that we will enforce, because the question you have asked is very, very apt. The people are being shortchanged, and it shouldn't be so. We will look at the legal framework. If there is any problem with that, and if there is, we will resolve it and ensure that those who are in such positions to give service do exactly what is expected of them. The second one is about free and compulsory education. One of the areas that we are looking at very critically under our economic security is to expand our revenue base, sources of generating revenue. And the whole essence is to promote sectors like education, because we know that an educated society has a lot more to offer at the end of the day. Free and compulsory education. Compulsory, let me start with compulsory. Education is supposed to be accessed by all, and there is absolutely no reason why we cannot do it. The free education, I can only speak on it when we come into government and we're able to assess the quantum of work and resources that are required. Yes, at a certain level of public schools, we will do it, particularly the primary education. That is a must. The secondary and other levels, we will only tie it to what we are able to generate. And I believe that within the first 2 years or so, our revenue base will have improved dramatically to a point where, yes, at certain point we can elevate it to technical and vocational education, and even adult education to give people access, people who have not had the opportunity at an earlier stage to access education. So yes, we will apply that stage by stage because it is fundamental. Somebody made mention of almost 18.5 million people being out of school age, being out of the educational system. Our plan will be to, within Benue, try as much as possible to encourage people and even other incentives in schools that we attract those who should be in school to come back to receive the necessary education. Number 3, the moribund, how do we revive, is actually captured in our manifesto. But because there is no much time, that's why we didn't talk about it. One of the ways that we are looking at expanding our revenue base is to resuscitate most of these moribund industries. There is a lot that will be done, and the first step that we are going to take is to look at our energy situation. We have said it in our manifesto here that energy will be will be a priority. We are going to rely on natural gas pipeline project to be able to power most of these industries, because without the right power source, most of these factories will not operate well. So we have already put in place a plan to get connected to the natural gas pipeline project that will be able to give us the kind of energy that most of these industries will require. So once that happens, Taraku oil mills will come back on stream. We will be able to look at Otubo bend bricks. We will be able to look at other factories that are still moribund. Much resources will be injected into it. Given my background as a businessman, I have said it and I'm saying it here again that we will run these companies successfully. The era of saying government is not a good manager of business will be gone, because I, Joseph Waya, will ensure that these factories, these companies operate as a revenue yielding concern. And it is not rocket science. A clear example, we have seen what Benue Links has done. It's a government concern. Globally, if we look at Ethiopia Air, they have succeeded. If we look at the Emirates Airline, they have succeeded. So we, as a government, will run some of these businesses as well as attract investors to come and join us to partner and get these factories running, which will generate employment apart from the revenue it will generate. The health sector, actually it is also captured in our manifesto, but like I said, there is no much time for us to run through all of this. In fact, what we say we will do is that in each senatorial district, we will have a specialist hospital where state-of-the-art equipment will be installed. I thought this was a separate question that attracts 2 minutes.
So cumulatively, 8 minutes.
Okay. So we are going to do that, and apart from that, we are going to have mobile clinics that will be moving from one location to another, attending to people. They will be all over the state. Mobile clinics where people, they will go to the rural areas where people cannot come out, where there are no dispensaries or health centers. These mobile clinics will operate in those places. So all of these will be areas that our administration will address.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Joseph Waya, Guber candidate in Benue State of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. We now move on to the next candidate, the last candidate on the podium, the fourth candidate, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR to present his manifesto and program of action for the development of Benue State if elected as governor of the state in the forthcoming election. Over to you, Honorable Mede, in 7 minutes.
I stand on the existing protocol while welcoming my colleague, the APGA chairman. Welcome, sir. We have a challenge of time here, but we have a media director in our campaign team. He's even present here. Maurice Unongo will distribute very well to appropriate quarters our manifesto after this event. Indeed, there are few things that we sat down to agree upon. And as a party, we came out with a title, Rescue Mission. Benue, for a long time, has been suffering from so many things, a lot of challenges. It needs to be rescued from all this. On our list in the manifesto, we have challenges of security to be taken care of, education, agriculture, youth, empowerment, industrialization, tourism, staff welfare, job creation, and of course, the challenge of the health sector to be catered for. So many other things. I want to bring to this forum a good knowledge that Benue has a very solid foundation. Nothing can be built without a foundation. And if it is done without a foundation, it will never last. I know you know that. Benue has a foundation right from the days of Governor APGA, whom I always applaud. Everything Benue needs was put in place by that government. It is only for us to maintain what was established. So many things, I may choose to mention a few, like cattle ranch is always on my mind when I start talking about APGA's government. Education, a solid foundation was laid. Even the Civil Service Society, a perfect secretariat was started. And then, in tourism, all things were put in place. They brought us industries. You know all of them. The SDP sat down and agreed that we shall build on the APGA's foundation while bringing in a little more things. It is the APGA foundation that brought us what was then known as Glory Bank. We wish to bring back such if elected in power. And that handles a lot about the economy. The SDP manifesto that projects me to be their governor and man their affairs intends to bring out cottage industries. And like to believe, energy has been the major challenge of most industries. We have decided to agree upon upgrade, where so many synergies will have been achieved to ensure a perfect power system for all the cottage industries, both public and private, because our government is going to allow the private sector to thrive in a very positive direction. Agriculture is one key area that Benue is supposed to be known for. A foundation was already laid in Berabu, somewhere in Ishongu local government. APGA could deal what is Berabu. I don't know any of you that has been there before now. But if any of you here knows Berabu, you will know what I'm talking about. There's what we keep eating here. Ice fish. Ice fish, as far as I'm concerned, is mortuary meal. Where they keep ice fish, as good as what they keep dead. It's a kind of mortuary meal we'll be eating here. Benue is supposed to be eating fresh fish. If you want to try it, so wish. But the intention of that government was to bring out a situation where Benue is the highest exporter of fish in Africa. Rice. The rice production that was later established by this present federal government. And they could not choose Benue, which is the food basket of the nation, to be used as a pilot state. The pilot project came, they chose 6 states. They later chose another 6 states. Benue is not one of these. Go to the north. Go to several other places. You see what is called irrigation farming. Boreholes are sunk in the deserts of northern Nigeria. And you will see that we keep picking carrots. Producers and dealers of carrots are millionaires in the north. We have the waters. We have everything here. Why are we not doing it? We need a little encouragement from government. And we need a sensitive government such that is so serious about the development of their people. A government that is conscious of how we live is what we need. The SDP has given us such a platform, presenting a candidate before you here to support and get such benefits. It's a big problem we have of insecurity, which is the main thing on our agenda. You cannot succeed in any society without a positive security system. I was in government here in Benue when I served under Governor Otom as Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Culture and Tourism. 4 months into the administration, I was able to bring 32 billion into Benue State. It's on record. Julius, when I came here under my invitation on the area of tourism, I took them to Gubernatorial Range. Everything was agreed upon, but little issues in government, which led to later withdrawing me, voluntarily withdrawing from the government. I applaud my elder brother, Governor Otom, so much for the issue of security. The efforts he has made are great. And I assure you of 2 things. One, when we're talking about security, we talk about the physical and social. The security of our border. I presented a paper here in Benue on establishment of Hunters Forum, which is now brought into government as Community Volunteer Guard. It's what I started as Benue Hunters Forum. Then, the issue of industries, where you have social security network. Well, for the bell, I want to give respect to that money.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR. You will have the opportunity to respond. Even more questions are coming if the other candidates put forth questions to you. And of course, the audience will definitely ask you questions. You can chip in the other things as well in there. Manage your time. So the candidates now, do we have questions for the candidate of the Social Democratic Party? Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado.
I sure do.
Your friend.
So, Honorable J.S. Mede, if the people of Benue and the good Lord decide that I should become governor of Benue State, and you shouldn't, what would you do to bring this 32 billion back? Thank you.
Okay.
I guess that's on the lighter note.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's a straightforward question. Okay. Don't like that. Engineer Tegado, like I said earlier here, I know your capacity as to be governor of either Benue, Lagos, or any state, even California. You can do very well, I trust you. Because I know how you made transport. I'm not campaigning for him, but for some of you who cares to know, go to what is called transport now. We that live there, we know what was transport, we know what it is. We know his handwork. And my brother, I'll be most obliged. If Benue says you, see me number 1 behind you, even before you're to government.
Thank you very much. I don't know if the other candidates have questions for the candidate of the SDP. If they don't, we move to the press and members of the CSO. Yes. Because they always do have questions to ask. Okay, we have our royal father here.
Thank you very much. The question I have is not for just one person, it's for all of them. And I will start to lay a foundation. Please, just give me just 2 or 3 minutes to lay the foundation so that everybody can understand what I'm trying to say appropriately. Thank you very much. Now, in the olden days, when Nigeria just started, after independence, or just let's say about 5 years before independence. Yes, my humble name is His Royal Highness Oba Barrister Rufus Olarewaju Ajayi Ogidiolu Ariliwola II, Oba of Benue Ekiti. I am of, okay? I was invited by the Vice Chancellor for the convocation of Benue State University, and I've been here for the past 1 week. In fact, I'm not ready to go back to Ekiti because I love Benue people. Now, thank you very much. Now, let me start the question now because of time. Just about 5 years before independence, Obafemi Awolowo was the premier of the Western region. One of the things he did was to introduce free education. And in the budgeting, not less than 50% every year was being spent on education. Some people thought it was mad. How can you allocate a whole 50% to education? Obafemi Awolowo's argument was that if you educate the people, when they know how to wash themselves, to clean up, they will not be sick. So you wouldn't need to spend money on the hospital or on drugs. If you educate the people and you construct your roads and you put street lights, people will not go there to vandalize it because they will know that this is useful for all of us. If you educate the people, they will be able to take care of themselves, looking for a job for themselves. Even if they don't have job with government, they will have job and be able to help themselves. So the 50% that you spent on education has now come back to yield a lot of resources and a lot of happiness for the people. Now the question is this. I have listened to everybody and I know that all of you are very intelligent. I've also listened to what the question asked from by the audience. Now my only question is this. I'm happy everybody who spoke, they spoke very well. But the only area where I'm so particular about, where I still want you to address is it really possible for us to have free education? You know, anything gotten free is the best. Anything that you get free, the air that we breathe is free. You are not paying for it. It's the best. The one you are paying for in the hospital, if they say come and pay for oxygen in the hospital, I'm sure nobody will be able to pay for 20 hours. I'm not of us here. Now, if you are a human being like all of us, a madman on the street is also a human being. Right? Am I correct? Yes, sir. If a madman come and touch your food, you will not be able to put that food in your mouth again. But the same air that we are breathing, in fact, what you will breathe out, or what the madman breathe out, may be the one that you are playing. And you don't drive him away from the road. The only difference between you and that madman is the brain. Every other thing is equal. Now, how do we develop our brain to the point that nobody will suffer, everybody will enjoy, there will be greatest happiness for the greatest number of people at all times, everywhere, whether you are in the village, whether you are in the town, you don't need to leave the village to go to Makodi to come and stay, whether you are in Makodi, what you are entitled to when you are in the remotest village is the same thing. That is what I want you to address, please. Thank you very much. And the only thing you can do is by giving us free education, everything you get free is the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Your response to our royal father's telling questions will determine whether he will stay back and see if one of you will emerge victorious, whether you will relocate to Benue or not. All right, so that was on the lighter note, by the way. We'll take more questions from members of the public, of course, the press as well. All right, ladies first, like I said.
Hi. Due to global warming and climate change, Nigeria has faced an increase in climate crisis. Every 3 to 5 years, there's flooding in Benue State and people are forced out of their homes. There's food security and women face at higher risk of facing gender-based violence. So I want to ask that if you are elected, what are the measures that your government is going to take to mitigate climate crisis and change? And what is your government going to do to help the marginalized groups? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I remain Solomon Keshimayatidi. Directly and indirectly, my company since 2018 have trained and mentored and then outsourced over 15,000 youths on ICT and digital skills. Now, following the federal government policy on ICT, we have the NITSTAR, the National ICT Development Agency, headed by Pantami. And then coming down to the state level, the state like Party State has the PITSDA, Yobe State has the ITSDA. Even Nasarawa State, it has Bureau or ICT. But coming down to Benue State, we don't have. As it stands, we don't have an enabling environment for ICT in Benue State. If your government fails to enable ICT and have a friendly ICT ecosystem in Benue State, what will you do to enhance third-party companies like my company and other companies to grow and improve ICT and technology industry in Benue State and for Benue State as a whole?
Yes, go through. Right. On the press now. All right.
Good afternoon. My name is George Oko of this day newspaper. I want to know about what plans you have for water provision of water in the state.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the SCB, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR, will respond to the questions. I think we had 3, so cumulatively you have 6 minutes to respond.
I think I have 8 minutes, because I have 4.
4, okay, 4, yes, so 8 minutes. Thanks for the correction.
Your Highness, you are welcome to Benue. I felt so good when it became my turn. It was when you all got up to talk. I'm actually a prince. I'm a proud one for that matter. And so I'm so happy that it was my time when the Spirit got connected. Free education is enshrined in our manifesto. When the hard copy comes, maybe to you, we will specifically look for you and hand over to you. It's what we have already decided upon. And of course, you said one thing that is very important about whatever comes free is the best. The best thing in this world is life, the life we live, the life we have, the breath we have. Is there anything better? I don't know. But for me, I only do that to agree with you that all that comes free is the best. That life that God gave us. I agree with you, sir. We will do the best in the area of education. It's already what is enshrined in our manifesto. We'll do very well there. For the sake of time, I'm going to the issue of climate change, and my sister talked about those who are marginalized. I was in an interview with MUTA. MUTA is the Mutual Union. Mutual Union is a team in America. I was privileged to be in an interview with them on this governorship thing. The project that those people have each time is concerned about the female gender, the weaker gender. I told the world when I had an opportunity that none of the Benue citizens will be marginalized, even those who have been soiling our names in the world. If you go to any part of the Nigeria settlement of Abuja, Port Harcourt, Lagos, and the rest, when you hear and want what you go there and witness, I don't want to use my mouth and pronounce. But if I must, what you witness there is a shower. Predominantly, yes, some are educated. And who says those who are not educated do not have a good job if there's a good government in place? Do you need to go to school to be able to cook well? Our parents have been teaching our girls how to cook even in the house. If these people, functional effects are ongoing, if industries are happening here and the girl is just wearing akara outside, it's a job for her. She will not have to go desperate ways of looking for second money. So many things, if they are functional here. For instance, if our agricultural range is back to life, and if the wildlife is here, it was Joshua Obadele, I want to be quoted, during his administration, that the last animal that was brought here by Aku was killed. It was during his time. And that was what they called Kotoho. That was one animal left. It was so painful that our wildlife has gone. We had wonderful snakes in that place. Wonderful snakes. All of you know the economic value of snakes. We had a lot of things there. Where are they? This is a government that is taking you back. LCP brought us the Benue State University. Well, I was telling you one thing, that because of time, I won't be able to say a lot. But then, on the issue of climate change, let not be like I'm dodging that question. On the issue of climate change, we have experts who are even in this hall with us. They are everywhere in Benue. We have a way of calling them home, creating a positive environment for them. As a global thing that it is, our people will become global citizens to help in this situation. So there's no problem we having to solve such problems. There are schools, there are scholars in every field that is relevant to this effect. So my sister, don't worry about that. If you have a way, or sometimes when you ask a question, maybe it's your bias. If you have a way to that bias, we are ready as a government, if voted into power, to accommodate every positive idea to create effective government. Thank you. Then the issue of ICT. I will personally give you a hard copy of our manifesto. It is a hope. We have an interest to establish an ICT village in Benue. So many things will be happening there positively. I assure you, Benue will be one of the best governments of the country that will do well in that area you are concerned. I notice you've been asking every candidate that question of ICT. Our government will specifically beg you to join us so we can handle the ICT thing very well. Thank you, my brother. I know your knowledge there. The issue of water supply. I applaud the effort of my elder brother, Governor Guber, who introduced Greater Makudi Water Works. I know you know about that. It is a big challenge. The person asked me this question. I want to thank you first of all for bringing this up. It's a big challenge. We have a river Benue here. And do you know that there is no pipeline water in Highland? Yes, sir. How many kilometers is there? We're standing in GRA where I am. This is where I grew up. My family house is just back. This GRA where we grew up, sometimes it was this away water. So we used to come and fetch water. My brother in Nigeria knows. See his mother's house, the Teyos. See his father's house here. We used to do this here together, fetch water on our head. And since that time, in the late 70s to early 80s, we were doing that here. It is a big disappointment. Our incumbent 13 was here in the university quarters here. Sometimes it was his sister was come and fetch water. It's very bad that till today, I was sitting in my elder brother's house, like in the child. I was just taking out of the house when I saw children going to fetch water, and we used to do those things. There have been successive governments. This issue of water, Urukum doesn't have water. If you see any water pumping there, it's borehole. If you see any water at high level, it's borehole. For bringing up this person, I thank you very much, my brother. The issue of water, our government will introduce water supply in every local government, at least government headquarters of Benue State. There will be no challenge. Imagine if Merua wants, they can kill everybody. It's only Merua that supply water in high level. Supply water in the even water. It's bad. What does it take? See the foundation of the Susan Lake. A very powerful project. You know it's behind where I'm sitting here. Where I'm standing here, the water work, the greater water work is here. Anybody can access this. A government can come and do 80 years and go without bothering about this water thing. I wonder what the problem is. Thank you very much. While believing that SCP is ready, give us your vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR. Now, for all the candidates, we have questions online. We'd like to appreciate you. Just like Honorable Mede, you can have water if you desire, and it will be presented to you on stage. I don't know if anybody desires water. In fact, I think water should be given to them right now, as we prepare to wrap up this 2023 Benue State Gubernatorial Debate, featuring the candidates of the AA, ADC, APGA, and SDP. We have questions that have come through online, and I would have loved that they reverse. We started from alphabetical A to Z. I think this time we'll take it from Z to A. So while Honorable Mede is still very hot, we'll take it from there down back to where we started from. So please, those in charge of item 7, please get water across to the candidates who don't have water as we prepare to take the questions now. For the candidate of the Social Democratic Party from you, we have questions online directed at you. We have Sandra Mayulu GMS. I guess that's a great massive sister. What will you do specifically for the people suffering from the Fulani herdsmen crisis? We have Alejelo, that's 1. 2, we have Alejelo MK Bishar.
Sorry, I thought it's one since it's like that.
Okay, online, so you take it to the other. So in 2 minutes each, please, each question. So you take the first one from Sandra Mayulu GMS. And what will you do specifically for people suffering from the herdsmen crisis? I think she's talking about the IDPs here. Yeah. So you use the mic, please.
Within the 2 minutes given.
Please use the mic, the microphone.
The IDP camps, what I describe as an eyesore. Look at what the Cross River State government did for their IDP. It is doable even in Benue if the government is willing. For the suffering brothers and sisters in DABU and the rest of the state, I want to believe that if such persists, if we cannot control, then I will create a better environment for them first of all and ensure a positive health facility for them, as well as feeding. But I want to believe, like in the words of Sani Abacha, unless the government is interested in such chaos, it will not do this. I want to believe that we all know a sensible government, a government that is willing to stand for their own. I'm not attacking the state and the federal government on this issue. We will not let this happen. What our people have gone through is so bad. I will make sure as a governor, applying every means available to my disposal to ensure that such crises are over. Like I told you before, Manifesto, that when I was in government, I was able to establish, I was able to propose a hunters forum. I want to tell you that even your own farm, the hunters know better than you. For those of us that are local who are in the villages, when you close from your farm around 6, 7, it is when the hunters are going there. Whatever comes as personal aggression, the hunters are aware of the edges of your farm. They can tell you better.
Question number 2. Alejelo MK Bishar, what can you do to address financial recklessness in the public service, civil service?
Thank you for that question.
2 minutes.
Financial recklessness starts from the governors themselves. From the governors themselves, I emphasize. I'm giving my word and that of my party to the Benue populace. The electors of Benue should know that our government, the SDP incoming government, will make a first declaration on swearing that menace called joint account will be over in Benue. Local governments will have their autonomy, and I emphasize they will have their autonomy. Even before the approval of the parliament in Benue, I will make a pronouncement as incoming governor, and I will ensure it passes through a parliamentary process to ensure that Benue local governments have their freedom. So there will be nothing like this joint account they always do to steal local government money. That is an assurance given to Benue. You know what they call assurance is always better than promise. Giving you our words as assurance. No joint account, no taking money from what do you call it, chieftaincy, Minister of Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. No. Let the money come direct to them. That will first address, because you're not coming into government to a mass way to become the richest man as governor. No. I'm not aspiring to become the richest man. I'm aspiring to ensure that appropriate things are done appropriately. Look at it as it is. Financial recklessness does not stop only at that. There are so many other ways that, for instance, our workers, when I talk about staff welfareism, we address the issue of salary payment. You know, my government would not look at it as an achievement if we are able to pay salaries, which is our intention.
Question 3. Guru Sila Albasam. Sir, what can you do to eradicate the issue of prevalent cultism and thuggery in Benue State?
Wow. The issue of cultism and what? Thuggery, right? Good. I don't know if I've been watching my campaign. Unlike some of my, I want you to listen to this answer very well. Unlike some of my co-candidates, I don't know if you've been watching my campaign. It is God-driven. You don't see youth, able youth, who should be very productive, going behind me, going like talks. No, I'm not encouraging that. Just for any sake. You can't see them. We are running a very free, credible, fair campaign as we intend to do the election. I signed to an accord to do a peaceful campaign into an election process. I may remind you, when you talk about cultism, that's the topic. The issue of cultism, when you talk about it, it is predominantly in schools. That is where leaders of cult groups are. No, give me more time. I went to College of Advanced and Professional Studies when we had it at School of Remedial Studies. On your way to Engr here in Makudi, I went to the Benue State University. Funny enough, as a local man, I went all my schooling I did in public schools. So, this SRS, during my time, there was a very serious issue of cultism. I will not call it, but I'm a friend to all. In DSU, it was a sin. But I had always been a union leader, student union leader. In all the schools I went to. Thank God, it is said that thank God my case has been different all the time. So I assure you that our government, some of my friends were cultists, even. Some were later expelled out of school. But we were able to live very well. Our government will do well to ensure that the menace of cultism is well handled. So don't have challenge with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move to the candidate of APGA now. We have a question online from Bishop Beijing. What is your revenue plan, knowing that Benue is an agrarian state? Yes. That makes it 4.
Yeah. Yes. I have already answered that, sir. Your Royal Highness, be assured that our government, the APGA government, will take free and compulsory education at the primary school level, that is a given. It will happen. I am hesitant to extend it to secondary and tertiary because I don't want to make promises that will not be fulfilled like the other ones. Let me get into government. We have already given priority to education. Once we have laid out our sources of revenue and we know that we can. Now, the question from the online platform is, what is our agrarian plan? We have already stated here clearly in our manifesto that we have agriculture as the cornerstone of our development of the independence of our people's sources of revenue generation. People who are encouraged by way of improvement of the farm produce that they are engaged in presently. Most of them are engaged in subsistence farming. The plan is that if we are going to be a net exporter, we must step it up and make it mechanized to the point where we encourage the people to aspire to produce at a level that we can actually export. We have a lot of this here. One of them, soya beans, which was supposed to be feeding the Taraku oil to get discouraged. So part of the plan is that we will, as a government, buy this thing from farmers, warehouse it, put in place a proper storage facilities where some of these things will be stored and then processed for export. So we have a comprehensive plan for agriculture, and our desire is that as Benue is, for instance, the largest producer of yam in the world, we will start exporting not just the yam itself, the flour that others are taking advantage of. We will be doing that directly from here. Oranges, we have suffered a lot. If we go to the rural areas, most of it goes to waste. A bag of orange here costs maybe about 1,000, but when it gets to places like Abuja, Lagos, it goes for 20,000. So the people who actually farmed are being shortchanged. So all of those things, we will be able to set up cottage industries that they can process this thing here, and in some cases, we will also export. So there will be much encouragement coming from government to get the farmers to get the right prices for their product. The second one, which is consumption of alcohol, I will skip that. I think that is more personal. I will not comment on that. We are not going to run a military dictatorship. Yes, people should have the freedom to do what they think right, as long as it does not comment on this one, because I think we are going into people's personal rights, and I have been an advocate of human rights and freedom of the choice to do things that, as long as they make you comfortable and happy without offending others. So I'll leave that. Let me take the very, very serious one, the Fulani herdsmen, and once peace to reign, must address these issues squarely. So we have already put in place, and in my earlier discussions I said we are going to look at it very critically using technology, and also try to understand exactly what the root causes are, and we will address it as we get into government within 3 to 6 months. this matter will be a foregone thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that addresses all the questions effectively. Now, the candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado. We have questions online for you. The first one is from Mary. It says, what's your take on money politics in Benue State? She likes to have your take on that. And then we have Asom Moses. He says, as a youth, what is your plan for the youth of Benue State with regards to engaging them? Samson Ellis Alam, what will you do in respect to regaining, or what is your opinion on government privatization of companies, of moribund companies? I guess that's what he meant. So there you go with your 3 questions. And then the Royal Father's question, number 4, 8 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you. May I start with our Royal Father's question? Your Highness, thank you for the question. It's important that we get basic education right, because that's the building block. You said, can we give free education? The reality is that the fund is already there. That's what UBEC is there for, Universal Basic Revenue. It's just the answer to this. Remember I said earlier that Benue State made 80 billion, spent 80 billion. So where do they now where do they get money to put the counterpart funding? But there's potential for revenue. So our idea is that one of ensuring that we unlock this university. No individuals that made that. Our whole income revenue as a state was 80 billion. I know individuals that made that amount of money from their business. So I'm in no doubt whatsoever that we have the potential to raise our revenue as a state and therefore be able to afford basic education. Very critically as well though, we must retrain our teachers. There's already an accreditation program. We need to train and retrain them. We need to look at our curriculum to make it more relevant. These children are coming up in 2023 not seeing a computer throughout their 6 years of primary school. Come on. How are they going to compete in the world? So we need to invest in that. Now on the other side, remember some children, their parents are just too poor to send them to school. You see, some children have to walk 1 mile, 2 miles. So we need to look at making learning easier for them. If you walk 2 miles to get to school in the morning, how are you going to learn, for goodness sake? How are you going to learn? So we're going to work with internal, like these town service buses and keke napeps. We can bring back the school bus system by incentivizing them. It's only for 2 runs in the day, the school run in the morning, and then the school run at pickup time. It's easy. We pay them up front as a government. They pick these children up and drop them at school. School feeding programs are ongoing. They're successful. We will continue to invest in that and make sure that our children are encouraged to learn. And we must also pay attention to those who are specially gifted. I mean, there's some kids whose brains are magic. It's a gift. We must encourage them and give them scholarships to make sure that we extract the best out of them. So education is a key priority for us. This is part of the human capital development that we spoke about as the 3rd pillar in the structure of rebuilding Benue. Building Benue, it hasn't been built before, so it's not rebuilding actually. It's building our Benue in the first place. I agree with my colleague from APGA that it becomes a bit riskier saying free education at secondary and tertiary level as well. But what can be introduced, especially at tertiary level, is working with endowment funds and private sector to bring in money that makes grants and soft loans available for students, and make sure that we subsidize the fees as much as possible. And that goes the same with secondary education. Sorry, I must apologize. I'm a little under the weather, you can hear me coughing, but I thought this was too important for me to miss. And so I made sure that I was here at all costs. My next question is money politics. You know, I find this very fascinating actually when people talk about money politics. When I came into the governorship race, many people I spoke to, one of the first things, even young people, one of the first things they'll ask me is, "Guy, how much do you have for this election? Are you sure you are ready? Are you sure you are ready?" When they start asking me, "Are you sure you are ready? Are you sure you are ready?" I know they're asking me how much I have for the election. And it broke my heart, really. It broke my heart because this very instrument called money is the weapon by which we have been held hostage as a people. It's being dangled like a carrot. So I hear that Benue State is into money politics. But I look all around Benue State and I see no money. Show me the politicians that are doing this money politics, that are making money from the politics. You know, so cycle after cycle, they come, they drop 1 billion. That 1 billion, if you throw it in the air, before it even lands on the ground, people have torn each other's clothes and torn even the money, you know? So it's like, almost like a psychological enslavement that we're into. I told you that I know individuals personally who made as much as Benue State made last year as individuals. It's sitting in their bank account. If Benue State wants to make money, if individuals, especially the youth, if you want to make money, my dear brothers and sisters, let us do what it takes to make politics. And you're not going to make money from running around politicians, psychophants for them. You will make money by doing business. Even for a fish, you don't climb a tree to go and get that fish. You jump into the water. So if we want money, let's look for money where there is money. Otherwise, this cycle will continue. Let us break the cycle and let us vote our conscience. Let us vote our conscience and let us vote right. Next question is on youth engagement. With youth engagement, you see, the question that went to my colleague from APGA regarding Benue being an agrarian society, it answers this question. Imagine that we have all this land. All we need to encourage in the entrepreneurship area, and specifically with a focus on agriculture, because that's our comparative advantage. So why waste it? In this case, we will make available a fund, SME fund, to encourage. That cannot possibly be 1 minute, not possible. But anyway, I'll try to wrap up. Our youth just need opportunity, job opportunities. This will be created through SMEs, as I said. They're already accounting for 80% of employment. We will give grants, we will encourage them, we will equip, we will skill, and the brightest minds will be absorbed into the civil service, and the youth will be adequately engaged. This will address the issue also of insecurity to a large extent, and will address the issue of violence and cultism and whatnot, because many times our youth get involved in this thing for want of what else to do. And so we will get the youth adequately engaged. We jump to the next question. Government privatization. The question was whether I'll reverse it or what do I think about it.
What do you think about it?
I mean, it's not a bad thing. It depends on the model. So
You have 1 minute.
Okay.
Time is actually up.
Okay, it depends on.
Kato has asked me to give you 1 minute.
Okay, it depends on the industry depends on the specific business area, and that should determine what kind of model will go in place. There are different types of public-private partnership. You could give it all as a concession, you know, build, operate, and own. You can do it as a BOT, build, operate, and then transfer it back to us as a state. You can do it outright to say that, okay, here's our equity, you bring in capital and invest. So with all the moribund industry, there's no point government pretending that we have the resources to jumpstart everything, but certainly we can bring in the private sector to help where necessary. And I'm sorry I ran over time. I didn't realize.
Thank you very much.
It was cumulative.
Thank you very much. We now move finally to the candidate of the Action Alliance. After that, we'll take your closing remarks and then we'll close. We thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen and members of the press, for your patience. Now we have this one. First, TERHEMEN Becky. Are you planning to increase worker salary in Benue State? Straight question.
Excuse me, sir. I just want one at a time.
Okay.
Please. So I will start with his Royal Highness question.
Fine. 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Made our people to sign an agreement that Nigeria will remain a dwarf nation. A dwarf nation. I have called about 5 lecturers here in Makurdi and in other state universities to do a research on that. So, you see, when a people have made you to sign a document that will make you to remain dwarf, you don't understand the true value of what? Education. The people who gave us independence are regretting why they taught the Asian people what they taught them. Because now the Asian people are becoming world power. We here haven't heard all that you have said and haven't heard from our brethren here, my beautiful brothers here. I want to believe that giving our children education, at least at primary level, is possible. And if we are voted into power, we are going to do that. Thank you. Question, please.
Ngolame Becky wants to know if you will increase the salaries of workers.
Want to know if I will increase the salary of workers.
I guess she wants to know if you will stick to the minimum wage, which has not been, to the best of my knowledge,
if I come into government, if I am voted into power with this, my wonderful brothers here, we will sit down together, put heads together, talk about it, and see what is in the treasury and implement that.
All right. Ngohinya Moses, please, that precious stone His Excellency is talking about, where is it located?
We have the precious stones in Adigbo, and as we talk now, some people are taking advantage of this very crisis we have. Every month, every passing month, a helicopter comes in Adigbo Ikwande on the mountains. Nobody knows what the helicopter comes to do. They are, harvesting our California. So we found it in Adigbo. You can find it even around Igumane also.
All right, finally, your name, Michael. How do you intend to increase the livelihood of an average Benue farmer?
Number one, we will be able to give them loans as our brothers talk here. If we have incentives to give to them and probably reduce the tax on some of the agri-produce, we'll be able to elevate our people and encourage them. And then another thing is fertilizer. Our people need fertilizer. Our people need education on how to plant, when to plant, what to plant, and what season are those crops planted are to be planted for them to have good increase or produce. Thank you.
Thank you again. We'll take your closing thoughts in 1 minute. Why should the Benue people vote for you?
Well, they should vote for me because I believe I have the capacity to redeem, to revive, and to restore the lost glories of Benue State.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Action Alliance, Honorable
Matthew DABU.
Matthew DABU, please. Let's put our hands together for him. And then we have the candidate of the African Democratic Congress. Why should the Benue people electorate vote for you?
Thank you. First of all, I want to commend and acknowledge that all my colleagues here have made personal sacrifices to be part of this governorship election for the good of the Benue people. The difference with our candidature is this unique combination of capacity, competence, and character. Capacity has been proven through a solid education that started. What is the temperament? I believe the temperament, the decorum with which each person operates, their trustworthiness, must be the #1 criterion by which we assess who becomes our next governor. And I want to say finally that we need to move away from our traditional way of doing politics and feeling like we're held by the throat with these old parties that have disappointed us for so long. Our intention is to improve the human condition, and that's why the people should vote for it.
Thank you very much, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado, candidate of the African Democratic Congress. The candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, in Benue State for the gubernatorial elections, Honorable Joseph Waya. Why should the Benue electorate vote you during the forthcoming election?
Well, thank you very much. I am bringing something quite different. I'm bringing into this contest the character, the temperament, the integrity, the resourcefulness, the capacity for this office. Quite different from what we have experienced in the last 24 years. Benue people should not forget in a hurry what we have gone through in the last 24 years. 24 years of suffering. We are here offering an alternative. The two other political parties that have governed us have failed us. Today you have an opportunity to come clean with APGA. I, Joseph Waya, as a businessman, I have done well in business, and I believe that I will bring a wealth of experience to do things differently. I'm not a regular politician. The regular politicians have disappointed us, and that's why there is a need for us to look at our situation again. Please join us in this new effort to make a difference in our life so that tomorrow we will not regret. You will not get anything different from the other parties. The reality is that APGA is here without a godfather. The only godfather we have is God Almighty and the good people of Benue State. The other ones are coming with a baggage. Don't fall into that trap again. Thank you very much, and may the good Lord bless you as you make your wise choice.
Thank you very much, Honorable Joseph Waya, candidate of APGA in the forthcoming gubernatorial elections in Benue State. Now, finally, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party in the forthcoming gubernatorial elections in Benue State. Why should the Benue electorate vote for you?
Thank you very much. The Benue electorate should consider me their best of choice, as I intend to move Benue at least a step forward. There is this situation Benue has found themselves in. A traffic light situation, kind of, where, for those of you who drive, Benue is on the red point now. That's what I believe. When you meet a red traffic light point, you know what to do. Well, out. SDP has brought you the rescue mission team with James Mede as your candidate to voting. Already, with our coming, if you view very well, you can see us shading away from the red point of the traffic light to the yellow, getting Benue close to movement. Once we are voted in on our traffic light system kind of description in Benue State, we will be on green and Benue will be good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party in the forthcoming gubernatorial elections in Benue State, Honorable Mede BEMGBATOR. We also like to specially appreciate the candidate of APGA, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Honorable Joseph Waya, as well as the candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Engineer TERHEMEN Tilley-Gyado, as well as the Action Alliance, candidate in the forthcoming election, Honorable DABU Matthew Asimayina. We thank you very much. We appreciate you. Now, the Benue electorate, you've heard it all, from the ones who have chosen and elected to come forth because they know and they feel that you are worthy to be presented with their manifestos and programs of action for the development of Benue State. The choice is now left to you to either vote your conscience for forward movement and progressive development of the state or maintain status quo. Now, we'd like to call on the candidates. Please, let's put our hands together for the candidates. They've been standing for the past 2 hours, 13 minutes. Now, if this is a strength, then I don't know what it is. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We let you know this to please kindly step down for a group photograph with the organizers on behalf of the SAVDFUTUR.
Present here, video television as well, and everyone, the supporters of the various candidates and the political parties. We thank you very much. Members of the civil society present, thank you very much. My name is Theophilus, Brothers FM. Thank you very much, I appreciate you. Please, we'll take pictures now. Thank you very much. I think it will be better, we'll take the pictures outside, right? Okay. Yeah. Congratulations. You're a wonderful one. Thank you. Thank you for honoring us. Okay, just the candidates, sorry, only the candidates. On the bus, speak that. On the bus. Only Captain, please, let's just excuse Captain. Yeah, for a minute. Only the 4 candidates for now. Yeah, you can take action pictures, but we'll take official photographs after that. Thank you very much.
If we don't discuss, if we don't there is this arrogance of a small group thinking that they don't need to engage. They are already there. The level of impunity and arrogance
Secure chips.
You got to my point, the point is I was a sucker for knowledge. Emily Digital was a sucker for music. If I anything, the opportunity in here, that is really yeah. You look at this one, come on, you know what? I think this is shared with because last and the one is that come from the radio to ask them what is it in this part of the world. They will begin to ask what uses as a basis, making it see the future of I just want about money, TV, PC, we are not just part of them. Yeah, this person you know, how
we are very sorry for that. I don't know so what? Let's yes, no, we will do that. We are ready to announce. I already said I'm surprised that we will receive it. What do you say?
I know there was a
So the rest of us can begin to step out. Let's take pictures outside. And whatever side interviews you want to have, we can have them out there. So let's step out.
Yeah, we can.
We can have our one-on-one right? Stress. Let's step out. We'll have our side interviews there. Or we'll have better pictures out there. Thank you very much.
So I will send, I will get back to you. Or Ben, come. Or I can send you a text message. So let me just send you a text message. Okay. Now. They said we should have a photograph. So that's what the organizers. Outside. Sorry. Hello. Yeah, the book debates he gets someone on in a car when I get to him.
So let's just step this way. Quickly, the candidates are very busy people. Please. Let's just position ourselves. Where are the other candidates? Please, let's be quick so that they can go. Where's the team? Vero, let's get the team out quickly so that they'll take this group picture. Quick. Please, let's position ourselves for the pictures quickly. Quickly. They saved the future team. Madis Foundation, Jadia's Trust Foundation. Look at the candidates for now. Let's manage our banner so that the up doesn't show. It's not well stretched.
You give somebody this one, maybe who needs
Front page picture. Hello, sir.
Are you good? Sir? Okay, the team, please.
Don't
worry. Don't worry. Sorry, I'm coming.
Smile.
God bless you.
Yes, yeah, you can come in, sir. Yeah, you can come in.
In the middle.
Sorry, sir. Sir.
Okay.
Sorry, move to the back, please. Move to the back.
No, watch me, sir. Come in behind.
Hey, UJ, chair. Hey, UJ. Chairman, UJ.
Yeah. Okay, join with what? Stop with it before. Okay.
All right, sorry.
You should go back small. Have you taken a loan with the aspirant? Only you with the aspirant? Yes.
Only you, only the coordinator of the aspirants.
Wait.
One more way. Come on.
Okay. First now, one. Then he okay. Are you okay? Yeah, it's okay. Hey, come.
Let it snap. Duly, let it snap.
Okay, so where you feel the job will take you.
Que tivemos no all right. But you think you're nigga? Okay, good. Right. Thank you very much. Interview.